All right, so look at you though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, why isn't this going live? Okay.
Channel 2.
Hey, we are actually live.
Are we live?
We are live. Hopefully
Okay.
people can hear us. We have the audio set up a little different this week. Welcome, everyone. We have a very special guest today, but welcome to Innovative Stalling Partners, Sales and Cigars. We're airing live from Smokies in Bloomfield Hills, Michigan at Square Lake in Woodward. It's a wonderful time to be here. You know why? Because I already did my ceremonial light up and cutting. So I'm smoking a back-to-back today. And today we'll get into that a little bit here in a second. But I wanted to introduce our guest today. We have James K. from Alpha 6 Corp in Detroit. Mm-hmm. So great to have you, man. What's going on? Why don't you give yourself an introduction?
First, thanks for having me, Patrick. I am, like Patrick said, James K. from Alpha 6 Corporation in Detroit. We sell artist paint, basically. We design and repackage artist paint. But I'm also a sculptor and a painter, too, so I do a lot of different things.
Yeah, man. I've been to your manufacturing plant in Detroit.
Yeah.
Very impressive. You got to meet a lot of your employees and go through there and see all the cool stuff you're doing. Now, this is really cutting edge, awesome stuff. Like, I was really blown away when I got the grand tour down there. I did not know the scope and scale at which you guys were distributing and manufacturing your own paints. Mostly for art, right?
Yeah.
Can you talk a little about how you got into that?
Yeah, absolutely. I moved out to California and I was building and manufacturing different things and started building some motorcycles. I built motorcycles here. I moved out there and took the company out there. And I actually got a job at a community college being a pinstriper. So I had to learn how to pinstripe pretty quickly.
For like cars or mostly motorcycles?
Yeah, cars, motorcycles, vans. I did lettering and stuff like that. And I really was immersed into that type of paint, and I really started to like it. And, you know, I moved back here and got in a really bad bicycle accident. I was racing bicycles, and
no, not motorcycles. Just to be clear, right?
Yeah. I built motorcycles. I love motorcycles, but I also like racing bicycles. Somebody crashed in front of me.
No, was this during a race?
Yeah, we were racing at the DAC race in Detroit.
For those of you who don't know, that's Detroit Athletic Club, correct?
That's right, Detroit Athletic Club.
It was like a sanctioned DAC race, or?
Yeah, they have their own. It was yeah. Anyway, there were a lot of people in our race, and I crashed and I flew over the pile of people, and I broke my scapula and my shoulder blade and 8 ribs. So I was laid up in bed for quite a while.
Like, what's that? Quite a while.
Months and months and months.
No
I was
way.
really messed up. Yeah.
I know this story a bit, but I didn't know you were laid up for months.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. My scapula, which is like the second toughest bone in your body, cracked all the way across, and it like overlapped itself. Oof. It was horrible.
That's brutal, man.
So anyway, I'm laid up. I can't make any money, and online.
Wow, that'd be a scary thing seeing you with no money.
Yeah. It was like that for a long time, dude. I was living in a storage unit in California.
No.
9 or 10 years ago, yeah.
Just like that.
No windows, nothing.
Do you ever watch that the Mark Maron show?
I've seen it before. Yeah. I love.
He was living in a storage unit.
It's doable out in California.
Yeah, apparently it seems to be the thing. Actually.
Yeah, the sun shining, but it starts to get to you without any windows, and there's nobody around at night. You know, you're in an industrial area.
That's crazy. How long were you living in a storage unit?
Maybe 2 years. Yeah, year and a half. Finally, I just couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah.
Finally, I just moved back. I wasn't able to make a buck. I don't know what was going on.
Yeah.
I had tore my shoulder surfing out there, so I couldn't surf anymore.
Wow.
I know.
That's crazy. So now you can surf now, right?
Yeah.
Get back to it.
I don't know, man. shoulder surgery like that.
So,
I'm
you know,
happy
I
to be
just,
able to use it.
I
don't
also
know
want
about
to
getting back on the board.
paint, no pun intended,
Mhm.
a little context here for the audience.
Yeah.
James, I know a lot of artists,
Yeah.
and I've hung out with, I've been a part of art communities, and I've played music, and I've been in a lot of communities with the arts over the years, since I was a kid. I come from a really artistic family. And, I've seen a lot of different artists with a lot of different mediums, and I've been impressed, by artists very few and far between. And for the audience, I want them to know that, I am very impressed with your art, and your level of business acumen. And I know a little about your story. We'll talk some more about that.
Okay.
But just where you come from, where you've been, where you are now, and where you're going, I'm super impressed by your story. And now James, he's a big deal. He's kind of a big deal. Very modest guy, until you get to know him. He's really modest if you don't know him at
That's
all.
right. That's right. It's all up front.
He doesn't even want to talk to you. That's how modest he is.
So,
so he's got art installations all over the Metro Detroit area and all over the nation.
Yeah.
He's built, James, you've built, world class motorcycles, right? And I want to talk about that as well. And so, anyway, I just wanted to kind of, give a little context that, you are a big deal. You're a well-known artist. You have a huge social media following, and you distribute your paint nationally, globally,
all over the world,
all over the
Indonesia.
world. Okay.
I mean, Brazil, we sell it everywhere.
And there's a lot of different niches within that paint world that are buying your products, your paint products. I want to talk about that as well, because for a while I got really into and interested in looking and following you and watching shoe designers, shoe painters, Nikes, buying your paint and using it to design Nike shoes, which was really, really cool. I think I'm really into that. And it's just it's a huge evolution and story behind your brand. And I love the ideas, I love the idea of a story with your brand. And you guys have a great story. And I think that's what really drives your business and brand, especially as a family business in Detroit.
Yeah. And
you guys have a great, in a very rich past in Detroit. And I love all of it. It's a very, think of Michigan, this is the type of story I think of.
Yeah.
So let's rewind back. Where'd you grow up?
I was born in Dearborn, and then we moved to Bloomfield Hills.
Oh, okay.
I grew up there, went to CCS in Detroit. I went to OCC, and, I was going to be a teacher, and now I love teaching. It didn't work so well back then. It just wasn't my thing back then.
Teaching?
Teaching.
Okay.
So I actually learned how to weld at OCC. And, finally I thought, because everybody around me, and I think it's pretty common for families to look out for their children or whatever. And everyone said, don't go into the arts. You're never going to make any money. But there's one thing I've always known is that I'm an artist. I am always making art. The good times, the bad times. I'm terrified of not making art and separating that link. So I just went for it. And, my family helped me with tuition, went down to CCS and learned I got a degree in metal smithing, and then a lot of motorcycle design.
And your kind of background related to art is what I really like too. I'm not a huge fan of traditional artists. Honestly, like I've known a lot of really great artists as well. Yeah. But you come from more of a street artist perspective.
Yeah.
And didn't you used to be a graffiti artist, and it kind of evolved into more bigger things, right?
Yeah.
Talk about your life in graffiti for a minute, without saying any names or places.
Actually, when I went to CCS, I fell in with a group of guys in the metal shop, and I had been writing for a little bit before that, but we really started to hammer it in Detroit. I had a little crew, and
Nice.
but what killed me is that I'd spend all this time making a piece, and somebody would come along and just mess it up overnight. And I'd have all this money tied up. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what stopped me from doing it. I don't, at the time I wasn't afraid of getting caught. And but anyway, I want to, when I create something, I want it to stick around, whether it's in somebody's yard, in their house. I want that thing to outlive all of us. So it didn't make a lot of sense painting on a wall. I mean, I get it. I get the fame that people like about it, and it's cool to look at. And I still sketch like that, but I'm more interested now in making something a little more permanent.
Everyone wants to be the next Banksy.
I guess I don't.
Good luck.
He's actually not very good at
Yeah.
traditional graffiti.
No, yeah,
I think he's a genius, no question about it. But when it comes down to, you see this really beautiful traditional graffiti, and he says it himself.
Yeah.
I mean, he's masked.
Yeah.
But
Are you Banksy?
I am.
Wow, here comes the feds.
In Detroit.
Here comes the feds. Banksy could live in Detroit, actually. That'd be a perfect place.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I do love Banksy. I've never been like, he's never really been like the artist that I love, but I just love his whole, it's more of a performance piece.
Yeah. Yeah, he's badass. That thing when he really hit the ground, he like snuck that painting into, I can't remember which one.
Sotheby's or something, one of those, and then shredded it.
No. He snuck into a museum. He had a trench coat on, took one of his pieces out. It was like gold frame, gilded gold frame, and hung it on the wall in the museum.
Wow.
That is
Did you see the one that he shredded?
I didn't see it.
So he had a piece up for auction at Sotheby's. I think it was one of these auction places.
Yeah.
And it was only accepting Bitcoin.
Okay.
They had to pay in Bitcoin, and they just got it like to 10 million, I mean, way up. And then it was sold to the highest bidder. And as soon as it sold, someone in the audience had like pressed a button, and the frame it was in had an activated thing and it shredded the painting after he took payment.
He's a genius.
That is really cool.
Anyway,
but,
he's a genius, dude.
You just got to do what you love and love what you do.
Yeah.
And that's his niche,
And I think getting that well known and probably making that much money gives him access to a whole bunch of different tools.
And
whether it's different people, different ideas. He can move. He can move around.
Have you checked out Dismal Land?
I've heard of it.
Anyway, we didn't come here to talk about Banksy. We could talk about Banksy all day long, but I want to talk about you.
I like it.
You're a better artist than Banksy, anyway.
There we go.
So back to childhood. So your dad has a lot to do with your story, if I'm not mistaken. I know. Tell us a little about your dad and how he influenced you and your art and your life.
Dad was a hot rodder, and he raced cars on Telegraph Road, and they would build cars and put engines in the weekend, and so he was always around that. And when he had me in the garage standing Bondo at age 8, so I was always around that. And he was also a salesperson for retouching. They would take GM or one of the companies would come to him and say, back then they would say, well, we want the back of this picture a different color or these reflections gone. And that's what his studio did. Well, gave me access to a ton of art stuff, colored pencils, rulers, anything you could think of, because all of his friends were artists. So it just kind of trickled down and landed in my lap, and it really shaped me. There was something that happened. I think that it's some kind of nurture and nature thing. There's something inside me biologically that kind of drives my artistic force, I guess. That thing that I was telling you about, where I just know that I need to keep creating. So so that really shaped me. And then I got into motorcycles. Motorcycles are, well,
what year was that?
Dad and I built my first motorcycle in 1994.
Okay.
Took a Harley Sportster and ripped it down, and he taught me to do all the lead work and the Bondo and the painting and polishing.
And so how many years after that did you get your own reality show, Building Motorcycles? Talk about your reality show.
So after college, in college at CCS, I decided that I was going to be a motorcycle builder. That's what I was going to do. So after I graduated, I went out and worked for a motorcycle shop in California called Exile.
Exile
Cycle.
They still around?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. And I worked there for about a year, and I just have a hard time working for other people. It's not in my, I have to be able to do my thing. So I moved back, and when I moved back, that whole Discovery Channel biker build-off boom was happening.
Yeah.
And they went to Russell at Cycles and said, "Hey, we're going to give you a show." And he did a show, and then the next season they went back to him because he's a good-looking guy with a tattoo. He looks the part, big white mohawk. And they built a story around the guy that used to work for Russell, and now we're competing.
Yeah. Okay.
And then my brother joined in, and
but then you had relocated to Detroit,
right.
Correct?
Yeah, that's right.
And that was the Detroit Brothers?
Yeah, Detroit Brothers Custom Cycles. Yeah.
Okay.
We had a shop at 9 Mile and Woodward.
And we're not plugging networks, but what network was that on?
It was the Discovery Channel.
Discovery?
Yeah.
Cool.
Now now it's on
Still
Motor
there?
Trend TV.
Still
Yeah. We're really big in Africa. We are.
You're right. You're on right after David Hasselhoff's dance.
I'll take it.
Are you really big in Africa?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. My mother was on a trip there. She went on like a safari a couple years ago, and she was like, "Yeah, you were all over the TV." And
oh my goodness, that's really cool. So how many seasons did you air?
So we had the biker build-off was just an episode. So 2 seasons in a row, we had an episode each season. But then a couple years after that, they took what was it called? Monster Garage with Jesse James.
Yeah.
They canceled that one. They wanted to start something like that.
Okay.
So they came to us and gave us it ended up being called Motor City Motors. And it was like the newer Monster Garage.
Okay.
With my brother and myself. My dad was in that too. So yeah.
Okay.
You can see all that on Motor Trend TV.
Yeah, I've checked some of it out. It's on YouTube too.
Yeah, YouTube, yeah.
YouTube's a good one. So what was that experience like? The reality TV world of motorcycles. You get all the girls and you living like rock stars out there. Tell us a little about that.
I'm trying.
And I just want to say, James has never had a problem with the girls.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to try to be tactful about this. It was a amazing experience.
Yeah.
It totally opened my eyes to what's happening behind the cameras, especially on those. I don't know about movies and stuff like that, but these reality TV shows that I saw, it really gave me an understanding of what's actually edited out and what the producers are doing.
Yeah,
it's stressful. People would think, what I thought, I saw Billy Lane, who was like, he was a god in motorcycle builder. I saw him and he was on Discovery Channel. I thought, that's what I want to do, man. That's it. It's a job. It's not easy.
There's a lot of forced scripting.
Yeah, they don't.
No, you got to get in a fight with your brother today.
Yeah, and they'll poke, and you're under a lot of pressure. So people who are hot-headed already, you put them in a little pressure cooker, and they're going to explode. And they poke and poke and poke and poke.
What does that look like? What is that? You got some camera guy doing?
No, the camera guys were actually the best.
The producer is the director yelling. Hey.
Let me explain it this way. It's what they're looking for is a story, and it's the way that I understand it is a lot of the people on these production companies, they move out to LA because they're storytellers. They want to be an actor. They were in drama in high school. Now I'm not talking about everybody, but certainly the people that that we met. They understand how a story arc has to build and do all those, and they understand the personalities that fit into that story arc.
Right.
So they're just looking for it. To me, it seemed like it was like plug and play. They're like, we need this reaction from something, whatever it is, because they can chop that up and they can put it over here. So they create they want reactions. And our shows were the highest rated because we were, I think because we played into the camera.
Yeah.
Acted like wild men.
So what did that do for your life? Did that set you up financially? Did you make a lot of money? Did you go broke, or how did it turn out? Are you the next Corey Haim or Feldman or whatever? Child star motorcycle version? No,
I'm not dead yet, man.
I know.
I'm not dead yet, dude. I
think I'm thinking of Corey, the guy who's doing all the music now, whatever.
I don't.
Anyway,
I don't.
Sorry to interrupt.
No. I think in the, maybe in the motorcycle world, custom motorcycle world, a lot of us people are probably like, yeah, those guys used to build full bikes or whatever.
Yeah.
I can't remember the question. What was the question?
So did you make a lot of money?
Yeah.
Did you go broke, or tell us
did
your
okay.
story. Somewhere in between.
We did okay, but it happened at about 2008, and that's when we got our first show in 2005, and we skyrocketed, and we were traveling all over the country. We were going to the sign autographs at these different motorcycle shows, and
oh my god,
do that every weekend, and then come back to the shop and work, and that's I don't know how people do that. Like it's intense.
Ego,
I guess. I mean, it's.
I mean, a lot of those personality types would drives them, that attention.
I thought that's what I wanted. I don't want that. Anyway, so what it did do is when we had these shows, I contacted all of these tool manufacturers. I'm like a tool nut. Yeah. I love machinery, and contacted all these tool manufacturers, and I built 3 full shops out of all the shows.
Okay.
I built a shop, and then I'd sell some of the equipment. We built another shop.
Sure. So
we got famous.
Yeah.
Our motorcycles they're one of a kind.
They're one of a kind, and you've won a lot of awards.
And we still do. One of my friends is in Sturgis right now.
Okay.
He's a
local, going on right now?
Yeah.
Oh.
He's a local collector. He
Okay.
collects every Detroit Brothers motorcycle that he can find. He's awesome. He's keeping us, like he buys them and he rebuilds them to how they were when they left our shop. And right now he took them all out to Sturgis. He's putting them in shows. It's in the Mama Tried show, or we have 2 of them in the Mama Tried show right now.
Okay. So what's the last bike? What year that you built?
I'm still working on one.
You're still working on bikes?
Yeah, I started a bike, I don't know, last year.
Okay.
I've got one up on the lift right now.
Okay, that's great. So what is that, a daily thing, or you kind of will get to it when you can? Or?
I can, but my sculptures have taken off.
Yeah, I want to talk about that too.
Sculptures, so it's kind of like my sculptures are my hobby, but these are paying gigs.
Yeah,
and I love motorcycles, but
So I was on a long run. I've been doing a lot of running lately. Doing an ultra marathon coming up here in less than a month. Kind of worried about it, I gotta say.
How many miles is that?
36. Anything over a marathon is considered an ultra. So when people say ultra, a lot of time you think, 100 miles, and now mine's 36.
Only
right?
36 miles? That seems like a child can do it.
It's like, to the guys who are running 100, 200, it is. It's like a 10K to them.
Easy. Anyway, go ahead.
So I have to get up early. That's the biggest thing with running. Training is the time.
Yeah.
When can I find 4 hours to run tomorrow?
Yeah.
On a work day. You can't just train on the weekends.
Yeah.
Or you'll die. Come race day or whatever, it just won't be fun. So you want to train. But anyway, I've been doing long runs from up here in Birmingham, probably like 17, and I would say Long Lake area.
Yeah.
And then running to Woodward, and then down Woodward to 8 Mile, coming back up, and then kind of hitting some other things.
Jeez,
and doing
a lot.
long runs. But you had sent me a picture a few weeks ago of, hey, check out my new piece.
Yeah.
And it was this really interesting, and I could tell right away, motorcycle inspired piece.
Sure.
Obviously, you probably know what I'm talking about already. But I was running, and I see this huge installation, and I go, "Wow, look at that beautiful piece of art! I wonder who did that." And I'm running, and then like 2 miles later, because running is like this kind of deep introspective process of a mental state of mind. It's just like you're going deep.
Okay.
And 2 miles later, I'm thinking, holy shit, that is the picture James sent me of his piece.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's a huge installation in front of this big corporate building
Yeah,
in Royal Oak, I believe.
Huntington Woods.
And Huntington Woods, and it was just a really beautiful piece of art, and I couldn't believe that I know the artist that does that. That's really cool, and we've been friends for a lot of years.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And so I love motorcycles myself. I have a Harley, and I love pipes, and I love loud pipes. Yeah. And that piece to me is like a loud pipe, and it looks really killer. And it's a two-parter, right? Can you tell us about that piece?
I can. That was.
So people can go take a look at it.
That piece is south of 11 Mile on the west side on Woodward. Can't miss it. It's the 6th building down. How about that? A brown building.
Off of, from 11 Mile, south of 11.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can't miss it.
Yeah.
If you drive by, you'll see it.
And part of that, the collector, part of it, the reason he wanted that is because he's having a hard time renting out that building.
Okay.
He wanted something to really draw a lot of attention. So he was great. He said, hey, do what you do. And I said, well, this is the range of the price it's going to be. And he was great.
Yeah, you're really good at these relationships. I think that's a big part of your life.
It's everything.
Yeah.
I really do.
It's,
yeah, people. Yeah, well, if I can go off a little bit.
Man, go.
I wanted to, when I was younger and I was doing art, I thought it was all about just expressing what's inside here, right? But it turned into a really lonely type of experience. And as I've gotten older and I've done service work, stuff like this, started to work with people more.
Sure.
And hear about what they actually want. Not this, I haven't had much success with this, hey, this is what I built, buy it if you like it. But when I work with somebody, I build a personal connection with them, and I start to understand more about the person, and I kind of build, it's like it enters the creative sauce. I learn about what they're interested in. And are they interested in bicycles? Are they interested in, do they like chaotic? Do they like a lot of color? And then I respond to that. Now, I still think it's a pure way of creating art. It's just being more of service, I think. And it's really rewarding. And what I found is the closer that I can connect with the people, the collectors, the friends, the happier they are with the outcome, the piece, which is, I mean, listen, I like getting paid for my work, but when a collector, it's like, I love it. I absolutely love it. And they're super, super proud of it. That feeling is tough to beat,
Now, are these kind of consultative situations where you're going in and saying, like, what do you want, and finding out their personality and their life and learning about them, and then building built to designed to suit?
Well, so that's the balance here, because, I've done a lot of work where people are like, hey, I want it like this, this, and this. And that is a terrible experience for me. There's really no creativity. You need somebody who's a technician.
So you'll turn those down. I
don't do them anymore. Yeah.
Okay.
I did them for a long, long time. So this is more of a two-way street, is where I like to. Now, I'm not going to allow somebody to say, hey, I want it made out of flowers or charcoal or something like that.
Right.
I'm going to have control over the materials. But if it doesn't have part of their personality in it, they're not going to be happy. Yeah. They're going to look at it. It's not going to reflect who they are. But anymore, they just come to me. It's word of mouth. I did a huge piece on the Daxton Hotel in downtown Birmingham.
Oh,
So if you're looking at the Daxton straight on, it's on Old Woodward. There's an alleyway they call the Via, and they have an ice cream shop down at the end, which is still part of the building of the Daxton. And I did a 100-foot long piece. It's a painting. It's 7 feet tall. It's a painting and sculptural work. And then after
multimedia.
and then after that, people just started to get a hold of me. Then they see stuff on Woodward and they start asking around. And right now I'm doing a piece for the city of Birmingham it's going to be a permanent installation at Southfield and Maple. It's going to be 20 feet tall. And I don't know how many miles of welding.
20 feet tall.
20 feet tall. So this ceiling is 10 feet tall. So it's going to be twice as tall. Yeah.
I was trying to pull up some of that art online for the audience. See if we could put a link in there. But
I mean, that Daxton piece really, really helped me out.
I can't wait to see it, man. I live in Birmingham, so
yeah, man. I never told you.
I didn't know about that one. No, I mean, you're all over the place.
It's enormous.
Yeah,
it's the biggest piece I ever did.
You might have showed me actually. I'll have to go through our texts.
Yeah.
And so, sculpture seems to be a huge part of what you do. And I love the kind of. No, that's not all right. Let's see here. We might be having some complications here, guys. Give me a second. It might just be a.
Yeah, I'm back on.
You are?
Yeah.
Cool. There you go. Perfect. Yeah. So, yeah, I love like how you're bringing kind of relationships into your art, as you're aging. I won't say getting older. Age is just a number, right?
Yeah.
I think I'm older than you actually, but which is sad.
Yeah, I'm going to be 27 next week.
Gosh, that's crazy. I'm
going
to
to
be
a hard life.
I'm going to be 32. So,
yeah.
Just to get on the art life, brings
right.
gray hairs.
Right. Living in a.
But I love bringing relationships into art, and I love how you talk about service and helping others and bringing that into your fold of your artistic life and vision. Yeah. And I've been to your shows too, and it was a show a while ago, probably a couple of years, but it was really focused on you. I think you were taking old paintings and redoing them or something. Anyway, I know you've had a million shows.
Yeah, I've had a bunch of shows.
Down in Detroit, right off Woodward, but something like that. But I've known you probably for 10 years now. Yeah. And you've always been a good friend, and I love how you bring that into your art. You're such a family guy and such a friend, and you bring a lot of that stuff into your life and art, and that's why people, I think, really admire you and want to be around you. Besides your employees.
Yeah, I pay them. They have to be around me. Well, I appreciate that, guys.
And you have a lot of employees. Talk about, well, first of all, I want to see, so you're an artist, went to CCS, and I heard you might have got kicked out of CCS.
No,
not Cranbrook.
Not the.
Is that off limits?
You pretty much said it out loud. I don't know what. CCS, that's the undergrad I graduated from.
What a good story for an artist.
I
that's kind of, I love
it's a little rebellious.
Street cred, right?
And I think so.
I love that about your story.
And it's not like I planned it. Believe me, I didn't plan that.
Like Cranbrook, right? Yeah. They couldn't handle you.
That's right.
See, this is the thing about establishments and institutions.
Yeah.
If they're looking for a certain mold of an artist. And you didn't fit in.
I was I was going to school with 22-year-olds. And this was just.
How old were you then?
10 years ago, maybe.
Oh, okay.
I was in my late 30s.
Get this.
I just can't. Yeah, I was too outspoken and can't keep my opinions to myself. So,
hey,
but I
Growth.
did, you know, I did learn a lot. So
Of art
yeah.
or life?
Well, both life and
Yeah, so you go to okay, so starting back California, you got the living in the storage unit. You come
Yeah.
back to Detroit, get into motorcycles, become a superstar motorcycle builder, and then that really kicks off your art career into sculpture, multimedia, painting.
I had always
That-
done that.
Okay, so
I
you've
had
always
always sculpted and painted,
drew. So as
and
a kid, you're making
as a
sketches.
little kid. Yep.
Okay,
Always. Yep.
and then how do you make the transition from all of that into paint? So
Yeah.
as we mentioned earlier, you have a huge paint manufacturing facility and distribution office and building in Detroit, and you work and are based in Detroit, and you're a huge deal in the art community, in the paint community, and you're held at all the major paint and art, retail outlets all across the globe. So from going to motorcycles and being an artist into sculpting and painting into being a very large business owner, tell us about that transition and how you got into paint. It makes sense, but I just want to hear how you got there.
The first time I saw it, I saw pinstriping. My dad had taken me to a car show, and I thought it was magic. This guy was drawing a line down the side of a car, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. He was doing it freehand. I just blew my mind. So that kind of always stuck with me, and I had never practiced it, never did anything like that. But when I moved out to California, I needed a way to make a living out of a toolbox. It was before I had my shop out there. So I taught myself how to pinstripe, and then I taught the class I was telling you about earlier. And then I got in the bicycle crash I was telling you about after I'd moved back. So I'm laid up, and I found somebody on Instagram. I'd always been thinking of this product that held these brushes up. The brushes are very expensive, and after using them, you have to get oil down in the ferrule to keep it from drying out. And I came up with this brush stand, and this guy cut them out for me, mailed them to me. I paid him. I mean, I didn't even know the guy. I met him on Instagram, and I sent him to one of my friends who owns a brush company in Jonesville, and he was like, "I'll take 400 of them."
Wow.
I mean, it was crazy. It's crazy. So that was my first product. And I went around, I developed other products. I went to the shows. And one of my buddies who's actually, he doesn't use our paint, he uses the competitors, but he was the first one, I won't say his name. He was the first one that came to me, and he was like, "Dude, we don't need more of these tools. We only need to buy one of these tools. It'll last a lifetime." It's like, we need a better paint. Because in the 70s or 80s, these high pigment enamels, they started to take the lead out of it. And the lead is what makes it such a great paint. I started working on it. So I came back to the studio, and I got some enamel paint, and I was importing. I just thought, well, I'd try it. So I imported some white lead, and I was trying to mix it. I just thought, well, I'll put the lead in the paint, maybe it'll work. And it turns out that there's a little bit of chemistry behind it. So then I just started calling all over the country. Said, "This is what I want to make. Can you help me develop it?" It started from there.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's a niche. It's a little tiny niche. The pinstriping market, pinstriping, lettering, enamel-based paint market is a small niche. The beauty of that is that we only have two competitors, really. And we have these other two competitors. One of them had a really hard time in the past couple of years, so we came up. And that's how we've kind of wiggled ourselves in.
Through pinstriping.
Yeah.
Are you guys still pinstriping?
I stripe now and then, yeah.
So it's not part of your business? So.
No.
Okay. It's part of more of your art?
Yeah. And I do it. I go to the panel jams in Detroit. We support a lot of these different shows.
Yeah.
Send them free paint, and it usually goes to a charity, and I'll go to some of those and pinstripe there. But
okay. Yeah. So are you guys, what's a bigger niche for pinstriping, motorcycles or cars?
It's tough to say. The bigger they consume more paint. The job that consumes more paint are the lettering people. That do lettering on windows or big outdoor signs.
Okay.
That's very popular.
So that's part of that world.
It's the same high quality, high gloss enamel.
These are actually really good artists.
Those guys, some of those guys are.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them have been behind the brush for 50 or 60 years.
Well, I know a few years ago too, you were posting a ton of videos of you pinstriping.
Was doing that. We were also having Mike Meyer, who's a good friend of ours, and we actually named one of our colors.
A serial killer?
No, that's with an S. This is Mike Meyer.
I can meet him.
Yeah.
I do want to meet him too, though.
He comes into he did for years and years. He'd come into the shop. He'd drive up, and we'd have a class. He'd get like 20 students in there, and he'd sit there and teach them how to letter. And
you're not doing that anymore?
No, I don't know what happened. You know what? He bought a church in Chester, Iowa, and turned it into like this lettering school. It's crazy. There's like dorm rooms and everything like that for people to come and stay. So
it's so interesting because you're from like the stock you're from is you kind of fill that or that bridge, right? Between you kind of cross that bridge between art and commerce. There's a lot of artists out there that are not great at business.
Yeah.
You see that a lot, like with this guy buying a church and doing this.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a big thing. That's like a big man art thing or a woman art thing, a big thing.
Yeah.
I love to see business and art come together. It's a huge thing for me. I mean, outside of like media, TV, and movies, like real art. I'm just not saying that's not real art.
No, I get you. Yeah,
that gets really, this is like grassroots art that is making good money.
Yeah.
I love to see how that happens, and I think a lot of artists have a really hard time, not only finding their place in business of how they can make money with art, but also they don't. I think there's a gap where the creativity has a cap. Where I love the story about your brush stand.
Yeah.
Like I think you could have at that moment. You could have at that moment thought, this is something that is kind of like a selling out or a someone for someone to buy.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of that going on in art.
Okay. Yeah.
Artists are afraid to sell out, and I think when you can, find that good balance between art and commerce.
Yeah,
it just is just a beautiful thing to me.
Yeah, that whole selling out thing. I mean, that's great. Good luck eating ramen noodles. I mean, I'm not going to be a sellout. I'm not going to work with. I don't know, man. I think it's an art. My brother talks about this. It's an art form, building the relationships and selling. He doesn't, I know that there's some artists that think I'm going to sit in my basement and I'm going to paint and I'm going to get discovered. And like 1% of artists that happens to. 2%, 5%.
Really?
I don't know. Maybe less.
Good.
Yeah. It's tough, right? So, we have students that come and they're training at our shop right now. They come from one of the schools in Detroit. They come up and it's an apprenticeship type thing. They get school credit and one of them wants to be a lawyer. One of them wants to be an artist. Well, there's a ton of artists out there. There's a ton of lawyers out there. So what's the thing that's going to make me want to hire you? How are you going to separate yourself? What do you do? So I look at it that way. So we created this other way of making money that's in the arts, that supports the arts, and it gives me time to do my art. I'm not grinding it out at being a server or being a dishwasher, which is hard. That is hard work. And you don't have any energy after doing that.
Right.
So the beauty of this is that it kind of supports each other. It's in my shop. I can flow from working on the paint company, working on my sculpture, to going back and forth. I don't know. I suppose you could call it selling. I don't care.
Well, I think selling out is a term that the haters use. And I think that, you got to live in reality. People got to make money, and you got to, like I say it a lot. You got to love what you do and do what you love. So I mean, if you can figure out that balance of doing what you love, loving what you do, who cares what the haters say?
And what's the goal? Like, let's say you're one of those artists that, sits in the. What is the goal of you doing that work?
Well, that's a good
Expressing
question.
your own ego, or is the goal to a good goal could be, let's get my work in front of as many people as possible. Well, so if that's the goal, you have to do these other things that maybe they say they're sell out, and you can get your work in front of people. If you're not doing anything else and you're just staying in the basement, nobody's going to see your stuff. You might be one of those, that 1%, and that's great.
But is that really the goal, to get my stuff in front of everyone?
That's what mine is.
Yeah,
I love
but
it.
then what? I think in then what terms? Then what? So what is the ultimate goal?
So I look at it this way: if I can get things going as far as growing and growing and growing. Excuse me, when I get things, because things are really starting to turn around. Well, it's true. I think that things are turning around. Think about it. I could get a crew of welders. I could get a crew of younger people that could help me build bigger and bigger and bigger structures. To see that in the middle of a city, I mean, it's amazing. That's, to be able to have that kind of freedom, be able to say, you know what, I'm going to hire these people that are going to help me build this giant sculpture, to get that horsepower behind you. And then you do that, and then more people see your work. And
that's interesting. Yeah. I think a lot of people take that for granted too, the process that goes behind building one of these huge art installations.
Oh yeah.
I've always wondered, like, what is someone like, okay, that's someone's art piece. You see this huge thing in Chicago, and this huge thing out in front of a building or in a park, and I've often wondered, who someone built that, and they have a crane come out, like, I mean, is there a construction crew? Is there a foreman? Talk us through an art installation of that type of size.
Well, I can talk about the one I'm working on now for Birmingham.
Let's hear it.
It's just me. I'm welding 5-inch tubes. There's miles of welding, stainless steel tubing. You're sitting there all the way around. I'm getting up on a ladder. I'm taking the foot controller from my welder.
Is this building on site? You're building this?
I have to build it in my shop.
In the shop?
Yeah, in 4 pieces, because my shop isn't that tall.
Okay.
So I have to build a piece, build the next piece, remove that one, drop that down, build. I'm welding up on a ladder. It's terrifying sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm welding under this. It would be nice. If I had a crew of people there that could operate different cranes and we could spin it around, I could weld, but.
So this one you're doing on your own.
Yeah.
And then, so talk about you're building this on your own. How are you going to get it over there? You got to go from Detroit to Birmingham. You got to hire a truck.
I don't know. I know I'm going to make it happen though.
How do you get this deal?
I can't talk about it.
You can't?
Well, I can tell you about.
Be real general.
Be real general.
I'm really interested in, like, how does an artist close a deal like this?
It's
essentially you're selling a deal. Friends, okay, word of mouth.
Friends. Yep, and you get a big gig. Certainly that a good friend of mine got me that gig at the Daxton.
Okay.
And it just really gave me a lot of credibility.
Friends, relationships.
Relationships. And he did it because he's a great guy. I don't know, he made it happen because they had other people bidding on the work, and he made it happen. And then other people, the hard thing is people don't want to take a chance and say, I love your work. We're going to put money behind you. it has to be like kind of organically grown. They have to see it. They have to. I hate to say it, but they have to see it in a respectable place.
Right.
Side of the Daxton, you can't get cooler than that. That's the coolest hotel around. Are there 450 pieces of original art in that hotel? It's like one of the top 3 art hotels or boutique hotels there is.
That's really cool.
So that gave me a lot of credibility. I can think how credible I am all day long.
Yeah.
But convincing that to somebody who isn't an artist is tough.
So he's still, this guy, right? I mean, I do business with friends too. That's what I do. I make friends and then I do business.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good way to, network and sell and put yourself out there, move yourself out in any different market or industry.
No question.
And so talk about relationship building a little, in the art space. I mean, obviously this guy is not going to, commission your art if you suck,
right?
And if you don't have the resources. So he knew you enough, or he or she, your friend, your relationship, to trust you to come through on a massive project that if failed. If you fail this, James, you're fucked.
No question about it. There's no question about it.
Joking, but no.
I mean, that was.
I've
never built anything.
I don't know another artist I would trust to do this other than you.
Yeah.
But talk us through that relationship. Have you known these people for a long time?
Yeah, I've known this guy since 3rd grade.
Oh, okay.
But like I said, I've never built anything that big.
I don't know anyone from my 3rd grade that would trust me. My point is, I mean, that speaks volumes. You've known someone that long and they still trust you? Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, and I think that, also, I know I can make it happen. As humans, we make it if it has to happen, we can make it happen. And I don't have a hard time saying that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to make this Birmingham piece work, period.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm going to get it over there. I have some ideas, but then how am I going to stack them on site? And we're going to have to close off part of Maple. Like, how is this all going to come together? But it'll come together. No question about it. Yeah. No question about it. And I think being that confident and being able to do it, I think it helps. If you're not really confident that you can get it done, people are going to read that. And the truth is, you're not confident you can get it done. You can. You just got to believe it, and you got to communicate that. It's no problem. I'll get it done.
Yeah.
There's deadlines. There's communication. They say, "Well, we need it done in 2 weeks." You have to. If it's not realistic, you have to say, "No. That wasn't what we agreed on. We agreed on a month and a half from now," and back and forth and back and forth. So you got to be a little flexible.
Well, I'm inspired by that. I mean, just telling myself, I'll get it done. It's going to be okay. Everything's going to work out.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
I mean, I'm not saying there's no fear and there's no doubt, but that's just fear and doubt. This is what I do. It's going to happen. There's no question about it. I don't know if I get struck by lightning, it's not going to happen, but I can't let opportunities like this slip by. It has to happen. It's going to be such an amazing piece. And I don't mean that because I'm building. I mean, I love what I'm doing. I love the way that it looks.
Yeah.
And visualizing it on the side of Maple, that big, it's going to be great. I'm really, really excited about it. I'm trying not to brag about it because that's not what I'm saying, but it's
humble brag.
Humble. Yeah, that's what they call it, right?
I'm inspired by that, because I look at my own, business and what we do, and we go out and train sales teams in corporate America. Talk about putting yourself in a sea of ego. A lot of times going into trainings, I will have that fear and doubt.
Yeah.
Why me? I'll think that's when the imposter syndrome, right? Yeah. Which I just want to say is not an actual disorder.
Is that right?
It's not. I've done some extensive research on imposter syndrome. I've done some extensive research on imposter
Being an
syndrome,
imposter?
and it's actually not classified as an actual disorder.
Okay.
It's just one of these trendy kind of things. But I feel it though. Like when we're going into, I closed a big deal, and we're going, less than a month. I'm going to be training a team of 100 salespeople.
Yeah, dude.
And I'm like, I can't. I don't know. I don't know if we should do this.
Yeah,
it's too big. But all we got to do is show up and do the job.
Totally. And what are you going to do? You're going to turn your back on that opportunity?
No,
no way, dude.
This is the kind of fertile ground of innovation that people like. Yeah. Is that kind of area of that fear and doubt and misunderstanding, and that's where good things come from.
Yeah,
that is the soil that breeds greatness.
Yeah,
if we can sit there and kind of manifest and go through these fears,
yeah,
I think that is just like critical to just being completely blown away by our lives. And I love that.
With you. I'm with you. I mean, if it was easy, where would the joy? Where it has to be, there has to be a struggle. There has to be that inner battle. Like, it's terrifying doing these things, trying to accomplish great things. It's, you lose sleep over it, and there's that battle back and forth. At your core, you started it. So at your core, and I say you, I mean me, I mean anybody who's going on a challenge, at their core, they know they can do it. We know we can do it, or else we wouldn't have started it. It's not this like, if we were terrified and it kind of blocked us off, we wouldn't have started it. But then all those thoughts come in, and that's where the struggle comes in. That's where that's where I have to go through those emotions and feelings.
It's kind of like you with courage. I look at courage or bravery. It's kind of like you have to do the thing you fear in order to have courage. You can't not. You'll never not be afraid of it.
Yeah.
Like, in order to overcome that, you have to go through it with the fear.
Right.
And it's huge. And, a lot of that imposter syndrome is just, that we're calling imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Can I do this?
Yeah.
Am I good enough? Having these doubts in myself. The thing that's kind of been getting me lately, honestly, is social media. I've been I've done public speaking for over a decade.
Yeah, you're a great
I've
public
led sales teams. I've sold into the biggest companies in the world.
Yeah.
And I've trained a lot of people through other channels and companies that I've worked for. And social media, I'm like it's a different game.
Yeah.
Now I'm a bumbling fool on camera when
I see.
The podcast stuff is easy.
You're great at this, man. You are made to do this.
Stuff, easy conversational stuff, but the quips and the quick Gen Z type, talking points, quick and flashy and cool, and it's one of those things that in my personal business I'm having a challenge with.
Sure.
But I love doing it.
Yeah. Well,
and I'm not giving up. And I will dominate this thing eventually.
Yeah.
I
believe you.
Truly how I feel.
Yeah.
And just getting to that point and getting comfortable, being able to be authentic. Yeah. That's the hardest part, authenticity.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about you, man. It's like, I truly believe you're one of the most authentic people I know.
I appreciate that.
It's I became solid.
I'm too dumb to lie. I don't know, man. I don't know.
But we were talking about it the other day in class, and we're talking about, how this company came to me and said we're doing training with their salespeople, and they want their salespeople to be more kind of to position them to be empathetic sellers.
Yeah, I believe it. I mean, that's just what we were
talking about. And I said, it's one of those things as a trainer that trains people for peak performance.
Yeah.
is I don't know if you can train it.
Okay.
And then I kind of said, I'm going to have to like really do
Authentic.
some deep dive on empathy and what it means. Because to me, when I'm thinking authentic or empathy, I'm thinking that's truly putting myself in your shoes because I've been there. And so a lot of times we're talking about empathy and it comes from a place of pain, struggle, hardship, trauma potentially, and there's different levels of all of that. So I think people have a seed of empathy in them.
Yeah.
Now, how do you train that to grow, that seed within people if they haven't had a lot of pain and suffering? And there a lot of times could be borderline narcissistic salesperson at a corporation, making millions of dollars a year, selling $1 million deals, every quarter.
You don't have to train those people, do you?
I do.
$1 million.
Oh yeah. Do you think Tom Brady ever stopped training?
Yeah,
Training is an ongoing daily dedication to your life and getting better. Yeah. If you've reached the pinnacle and you can't get any better, then I wouldn't want to be you. Yeah. So I mean, a lot of, especially in sales training, people take a different perspective and think I don't have to train all day. We have good sales guys; they don't need to train. Yeah. But we look at it totally different. Yeah. Training is a daily grind where we're really pushing our limits and getting comfortable, getting into fear, these spaces that are making us uncomfortable, so we can overcome these.
How do you get motivation from somebody who's making $1 million a year?
They want to get better.
Okay.
A lot of times I'm hired by their boss, so they don't have a choice. Anyway, so.
Well, I think we could go back to what we were talking about. I don't know if it's empathy, but when somebody tries to sell me and it's selling out of fear, which I've been guilty of too, you sell out of fear, you come from a place, people can feel that.
I don't think you can sell out of fear.
Well,
but I know what you mean.
If somebody comes to me and wants to sell me something and they're only thinking about me as the purchaser, regardless if they're saying, oh, you can need this, I think I'll just talk about my experience. If I start to think about the other person and care about them, not just care about the sale. There's something in my way to get to their pocketbook, not just getting their money. And they actually touch base and they care about the person as another human being. That's empathy. And people are going to feel that. Are they going to buy what you're selling? I have no idea. But I guarantee it would be for me, it's a more fulfilling experience. And it's the same way with dealing with people I'm collectors and working with. Touching base with them and really, I don't know if it's identifying with their past struggles. I think that's a little deep for what I'm thinking about, but connecting with them as another human being that has to be on this planet, right? I have to sell them something, but before that, let's build a relationship, even if it's a 10-minute relationship.
Right. Yeah, no, I think that's huge.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, sales a lot of times has looked at as kind of a dirty word, sales. And what I've done in a lot of my training, and just to throw this out there for you, is I've really replaced the word sales with helping.
Oh, I like it.
Helping others.
Yeah.
So it takes away kind of the stigma behind sales, and it truly is helping. So if we can learn to be empathetic, authentic, and truly want to help someone, you can't really want to help someone you don't know. Yeah. So then that speaks to building those relationships, like you were talking about earlier. And now you know someone and you want to help them, and they trust you.
And they want to help me.
Yeah. And now you have something that is going to solve a challenge or a space in front of a hotel.
Yeah.
That is really going to help them be looked on as better or create more value for them.
Sure.
Yeah. So it's this holistic understanding of it. I love that.
Yeah, and my dad was a salesman. He used to talk about that, building those relationships. People want to, if they know and I don't think you can fake being authentic. Is that you know, you care about
but
people.
you gotta like, at some point you have to start acting as if you are authentic, and it
Okay.
might come across as being inauthentic, but you have to like practice it anyway to get over that gap. Like if you're just a bad person,
Yeah.
at some point you're gonna have to start acting good to be a good person.
Got your work cut out for
You
you.
see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear you.
And so that process of acting good when you're a bad person
Yeah.
is gonna look like fake to people around you
Yeah. I
until
bet.
it's sustainable, until
Yeah.
it becomes, embedded into the fabric of your being.
Yeah.
You can't be a bad person if you're acting good all the time.
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean,
know,
that's
man.
just my thought on it.
I'm
Like it comes
listen,
down
if
to actions.
you're the sales teacher.
No.
I mean, you're the one.
No,
that
we're just
teaches
talking
that.
life here, man.
You're the helper.
No, you disagree with me, man. I love that.
I don't have a stand on it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I have a stand on how do you convince somebody who's killing it in sales
Well,
to want to learn more?
I've always killed it in sales.
But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about how do you convince them that they need to train so they can get better? How do you deal with an ego like that is
So
dominating?
a lot of times, to be honest with you, James, at that level, they are kind of already training and have kind of an air of authenticity and humility about them. When you're at that level of selling into strategic businesses where it's like a very complex sales process, these guys, they're not a bunch of douchebag hotshots.
Sure, yeah.
These are very
They already have
analytical. They
Yeah.
are training. They're on another level, and they will continue to train. Now they'll train with me if I can show and value to them.
Yeah.
And they understand my concepts and how we train, how we can bring them to the next level. Just if Tom Brady needs a new, throwing, trainer, he's going to look for the best guy. Those guys will never stop training. The top best of the best will always be training. Just like you will always be painting.
Sure.
Always be creating.
Yeah.
Do you have any elements of your life where you're personally training or where you're trying to grow?
I'm cycling a lot. I've been riding my bike a lot, and I like that challenge. I like the challenge of being the age I am and dealing with those certain challenges.
And you're a very spiritual guy.
Yeah. I'm working on it.
We used to do a meditation thing together.
Yeah.
James and I did some time meditating in a group together for a while. And, that's what I love. That's training for me. That's training.
Yeah.
What about you? Spiritual training, doing any of that stuff lately?
I'm not so much a meditator anymore, but I'm constantly talking to the other side or whatever you want to call it. It's I don't know. I've tried all sorts of different forms of meditating and praying, and still kind of finding my way again. I was really, really, really strict for a long time, and
in your discipline of
meditating, meditating 20 minutes in the morning, and for years and years and years, praying and doing this other stuff. I'm not religious, but I'm kind of in a transitional period with that spirituality. I still talk to some kind of God, it. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but because I still need help, because there's situations in my life where I'm not equipped to make a decision. I just don't. I need help with the decision. I need to, and even if asking for some kind of help puts a space in between me and my quick thinking, and it slows me down a little bit, it's worth it, regardless if something's out there or not. Just asking for the help. Immediately there's a space there. And, I don't care what people think. People talk about what they believe in, and in my head, I'm like, yeah. So I get it.
Even if these topics come up, it's like you have to explain yourself.
Yeah.
The good thing about praying, I'll just say, is that it scientifically it just works. They've done
would
studies
imagine.
on brains that are praying, and it realigns your brain chemistry. So
How it works, I don't. Yeah,
it doesn't matter, you know. And so now I did want to talk a little about your business.
Yeah.
Your painting business.
Mhm.
Not painting, but your manufacturing
Yeah.
business and your paint distribution business. Talk a little about that, how you run your business. You don't have to mention your big accounts or anything, but tell us
Mhm.
like how you're growing and what drives you in that space.
Well, the customers drive us. We build these relationships with the customers and artists that we have on board that we supply with paint. They tell us what they need. Um, Being an artist myself, I know the products and I know how to test the products.
That's sweet.
It really helps, but it could be anything. It's the same thing. We manufactured motorcycle parts. It could be motorcycle parts. It doesn't matter that it's paint. The fact is that the paint has to be awesome quality. We
Right.
got to have a way to get it to the customer. Awesome quality, great price, competitive price. That's what we do. We grow a little bit, and we kind of, I hate to say it, but a lot of the times things fall in our lap. My partner, who's my mother, she was talking to one of our artists, and the artist back then said, "Hey, have you thought about sneaker painting?" And I was like, that's the dumbest idea I've ever heard of. Who would paint $150 Air Force Ones? I thought it was crazy. Sure enough, it's a huge, huge market.
Sure enough, after my son met you, him.
I mean,
Thanks.
yeah, sorry, dude. It's going to mess up.
They're
his
all
sneaker.
gold now.
Right.
The
And
whole
then they
thing.
spray paint them black just to. So I don't know. Things. I believe in the universe that way too. I made a cold call a couple months ago, and I won't give you too many details, but
Wow, I love it already.
I was sitting there and I was just like, how can we expand our business? Where can we go with our business? With what we have to offer, with the products that we have. I spent years developing the markers back and forth with suppliers to get the pigment right, the coverage right, the flow right, all this stuff. It's not like we're just importing some crappy stuff and putting our label on it. There's a lot of time behind this. The enamel paint took forever. It took a long time. Well, but I don't know where the inspiration came from, but I was sitting at my desk and I'm like, why aren't we attacking the automotive market? Why haven't we, and we've tried a little bit. And so I made a phone call. I Googled top automotive supply companies. The first one came up was this company, big company. I'm like, I'm going to call it. What do I have to lose? I'm going to call them. Called them. The head of product procurement was in the room when the assistant picked up the phone. I'm talking like an 800 number.
Wow.
I mean, come on. It's crazy. It's crazy. Huge, big company. I'm not BSing. And we started a relationship. We started talking about having one of our products with their name on it. And they sell the stores. So we're private labeling for them. We're helping them in a way where they don't want to deal with what we have to go through to get the markers, right?
Sure.
They flew one of their guys up. They flew him up, the head of procurement. He came to the shop. He looked around. We talked and built a relationship. We've been going back and forth for 4 months, contracts back and forth, all this stuff. And actually, yesterday we have both signed and agreed to a contract, and they put their first order in. That's crazy. I don't know,
dude.
But it's one of those things like you could call it luck. I mean, it certainly wasn't easy. What happened where the gentleman was in the office at the same time. You can't just call companies and say, "Hey, can I talk to the head of procurement, product procurement?" You can, but usually they have so many inquiries. You might. Usually they have so many inquiries that they send you to one of their assistants or a voicemail. And it just.
So I'd love to pick your brain on that cold call.
Okay.
What did you say? Hi, James. This is head of procurement.
No, I said, this is James K. I own Alpha 6 out of Detroit, Michigan. I looked through their catalog a little bit, and I pointed out some products that we can make and that I know how to make. Products where I've spent years developing. And I don't know. I honestly think it was a two-way street. He picked up the phone, we're talking. He was like, this is meant to be because we are looking for a supplier like you. Right.
Wow. Perfect timing.
I mean,
Timing is
how do you
huge.
get full credit for that? That's crazy.
Well, work.
I mean,
Hard work.
sure. Go to work, make the calls.
Hard work. Yeah. I mean, there's been a million times in my career where they're like, wow, perfect timing.
Crazy.
I'm like, wow. If I don't make the call, though,
Right.
you made that call, man.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that's what it's like.
Yeah.
When you get these little intuitions, do the thing.
Yeah.
Like,
Do
it. Like,
Right.
don't let it go.
Yeah.
2 weeks later, you'll be thinking about it, and then you'll do it too late.
Yeah.
And then they're like, you'll never get through that person again.
Yeah.
I've been learning how to do that act immediately in the moment. Like, I'm 48.
Yeah.
I'm in my mid-40s.
That's right.
It's taken me a lot of years to, like, probably a decade ago, where I was like, I need to act
Yeah.
when I have the thought.
Because there's going to be days where you're cold calling and people are telling you to F off, and they're sending. There were days and days and days like that. Weeks like that. In the beginning of the company, I was cold calling everybody, and it's exhausting. But you're absolutely right. There was some kind of that was forced cold calling, and you know what? Maybe it got us into a couple places. But you're absolutely right. That intuition came, and it was a blip.
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah.
So if I make, I make a lot less cold calls running my business. I still do it though.
Yeah.
I still make probably like 30 a week, maybe.
Which
I
a
used
lot.
to do 50 a day.
That's exhausting. It's impossible.
When you're trying to keep up with KPIs in corporate America, it's hard to avoid.
I'm not saying that you can avoid it. I'm saying, I've done that. It is. I don't know if people realize how exhausting that is.
Emotionally, mentally, all of that. And you just get better at it. It's hard when you're making that many calls, to stay engaged. To really care what you're doing.
Yeah, that authenticity that we're talking about.
You're like, oh, okay, bye. You don't even care anymore if they say yes or no. You don't want that.
No.
Right? You want to have passionate people.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get passion on people who don't own a product.
Yeah.
Also, so if you have 100 employees that you're training in sales, a lot, 80% of them are missing their number. By the way.
Sure. Okay.
Only about 10 to 20% make the entire number for the entire organization.
Wow. 80-20 rule?
There is an 80-20 rule, but it's like more like 80 to 90 rule. Okay. So in 2023, only 23% of sales reps in all industries hit their number. 23.
Wow.
In 2023. That's a huge, but that 17, or what is it? 67%. 77%. Yeah. Sales reps were like bogging down resources and making cold calls, and so then the top 23% carried all of.
What do you think it is? Do you think it's passion for their product, passion for their customers?
Yeah, I think there's a training element. I think also. I think it's easy to hire bad salespeople.
Okay.
Not bad. I think like people who don't know how to sell.
Yeah.
It's tempting. They might look good on paper and do a really nice Zoom call for hiring, and that just doesn't turn out. They're an underperformer.
Okay.
Consistent underperformer.
Yeah.
But I think, those calls you make, and I just want to say, being a CEO and an owner of a company is a lot easier to make cold calls in our position, because a lot of these executives at companies are title conscious. So when
Huh.
I say I'm the CEO of,
Yeah.
Innovative Selling Partners,
Yeah.
they want to essentially take the call.
Sure.
I'm aligning titles
Hmm.
when you're the owner of a
I like
company.
that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you.
So if I'm, Joe Schmo, sales rep out of Royal Oak, and trying to, sell into automotive,
Yeah.
there's a gap you got to fill. You got to sometimes go in a little lower and work your way up where we can work.
I like
from the
that.
top
That's a
down.
really interesting. I don't want to say technique, but that's an interesting way of looking at it.
So you got to have pride in your title.
Yeah.
You're the owner of Alpha 6 Corporation.
I mean, certainly if we have any customer service problems, those come directly to my email still.
That's
They
amazing.
get my phone number. I talk to them. If it's a really hard problem, a lot of them I can answer through emails. But a lot of these artists are starting out. They don't know what chemicals are going to. So they like that side of it. It's good that they can talk to the boss.
Yeah.
They even have the boss's phone number, which I don't. Don't call me Sunday night, or Saturday night. Talk during the week.
Yeah.
But I like that on the cold call. I've never tried that before.
I'll put that in our videos. Make sure not to call you Sunday nights.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Here's my number.
Yeah, no, I mean you got to use that anything you can.
So how would you say it though? You would say, "Hey, this is James. I'm the
I call their
CEO
cell
of."
phone number. First of all,
You what?
I'll call the CEO's cell phone number,
Yeah. Okay.
and I'll say this is the CEO of Innovative Selling Partner.
How do you get the cell number?
I got a program.
I was gonna say that's a trick, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You might be getting him on a yacht.
Yeah.
I mean, CEOs are just hanging out in offices all day.
Right.
Traveling. They're flying regionally, meeting with top lead executives at their corporation. So catching them, you got to be ready to talk and be ready quickly to say what you need to say. And typically, they're not cold. Anyway, I like to kind of go in a little warm and have communication previously.
Yeah. Sure.
A lot of that will come from LinkedIn or other networking kind of platforms or in person even.
Yeah.
I might have seen them at a conference or got their, name and number at a conference. And, you can do whatever you need to get in with that conversation in real time. I mean, I don't look at it as lying. I say, a lot of times I say, we bumped into each other.
Yeah.
And I got your number. I wanted to connect.
Yeah.
On the topics that we discussed during the conference. What time looks good for you?
Yeah.
Remind me who you are again. I'm an innovative selling partner. And when I meet people, a lot of times I think they don't forget me. Eventually,
Yeah. Because you're so ugly, is that?
Yeah, I'm ugly and I talk so bad and I'm insecure. And they remember me just like because it was such a horrible experience.
That's right.
I mean, that's even good too. You use that.
Right.
Remember that guy tripped in front of you and dropped all that stuff, and no, I don't know. But, you can use whatever you need to get those conversations, man. And that, I mean, humility is a good place to start. Definitely. Authenticity.
Yeah.
I mean, CEOs, they will step out. All of them pretty quick.
Yeah.
A lot of CEOs have been in sales positions in their lives.
Yeah, sure.
There's not many CEOs that haven't sold at one point. In fact, they're selling now. In fact, everyone in your organization should be selling now. Because unequivocally, and I have to tell this to business owners and CEOs all the time, the only stream of revenue you have is from sales.
Yeah. Right.
And you're putting all your resources into HR and, IT. That doesn't get you revenue. So it puts it into perspective sometimes. It's like all of the resources.
Seems to make sense.
It makes sense, especially when, your turnover and your employees are, 50% over a year and, you're losing customers and your revenue is down, and you're not putting any resources or investment in your sales channel. You want to look at that. the possibility to change the way you're running your business.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the thing about sales training is the key metric that you're looking for is increased revenue and performance per rep or per AE.
Decrease overhead.
Yeah. I mean, you're looking at if my guys are selling worse now and we're losing more revenue or better. And if it's better, then it's work. Then the sales training is working.
Sure.
There can be market shifts and this, that, the other thing, but you always want to see an incline in revenue and individual rep performance.
Yeah.
You know, so do you guys have sales people at your company?
Just me. Well, me and my mom. You know, my mom and I. I
mean, the family business thing has to win you some deals.
I don't know. I mean, it is what it is.
I mean, I think that's what people love about you guys.
It is what, you know, it's not we rely on each other. Mom and I do. We both have different strengths, which is nice. You know, we can work together.
And you guys or your brother owns some restaurants in Detroit.
Both of my brothers do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you talk about those a little? Or?
As much as I can. You know, the family owns Honest John's down on 2nd and Selden. They own.
That's it, Midtown?
Yeah. They own the Mutiny
really
Bar.
Good, too.
Yeah, it's good.
It's a good restaurant.
Yeah. My brother totally changed the place. Came in and cleaned it up, and the food's great.
My son works at, yeah, that'd be a good hookup for my son during, you know, because he lives down there.
Which?
My oldest son.
Your oldest
he
son,
lives in the Woodbridge neighborhood.
Oh, yeah.
But he's been working at Woodbridge Bar and Grill.
Yeah, Woodbridge Pub.
Yeah. So I think he's wanting to move out. He goes away and stay down there. So
yeah.
Anyway, I'll have to call.
Yeah. I can get you his number. Yeah.
I'm totally.
I'll tell him it's the CEO of, I don't know what he does, the wait staff at Woodbridge. I don't know.
Hey, you know what? It's a good business to train sales to your waitresses and waiters.
No question about it. That's what they're
you
doing.
Do that, but you know, it's definitely a good move.
Yeah.
If you can get, you know, 15%, you know, raise in revenue for every table for the entire year.
Yeah.
And just maybe compensate your employees around that.
Totally. Absolutely.
You know, I mean, that's revolutionary.
Yeah.
But servers traditionally just
I think
treated
they
so
feel underappreciated. Sure.
time.
We couldn't have our business if it wasn't for our employees. We have trusted employees. You know, Justin's been with me for years, 8, 9 years or something like that. And I trust him with a key. I trust that we have certain things that have to get done every day. A lot of it's the employees.
Yeah.
It's a teamwork thing, because if they're not there, I have to do that job, which takes me away from doing this. And, you know, we have to work together and we have to talk and communicate. And I want them to feel appreciated. You know, the challenge is sometimes we have to correct mistakes, but having a conversation in a loving way where, hey, this has to change. This has to, whatever the issue is, there's going to be issues in manufacturing. That's a little bit of a challenge, but
it's interesting. I just had a conversation this morning with a guy about how he's really trying to kind of automate his business and step back.
Yeah.
Business, right?
Yeah. So are we.
I think that every business owner tends to get to that point where it's a kind of a seasoned business. It's a well-oiled machine, and now does it really make sense that the CEO or the owner is doing all of this kind of work that his employees can handle?
Yeah.
And we talked about the concept of, you know, of working on your business instead of working in your business.
Yeah.
Like and what that means from a leadership perspective at your company. So what are some big plans you have for Alpha 6?
We are actually talking about that now. We're trying to figure out ways of, we're in this again transitional phase where we've developed, like you're saying, we've developed the product. We know the product's good. We know the price is good. We'll actually drop the price a little bit once we get things automated. We're doing everything by hand right now. It's labor intensive. Just like what you're saying, what it'll do is it'll free up Mom and I to do what we're better at, sales or marketing, and it'll get our employees away from filling the bottles, and then they can go into shipping and receiving. They can move up in the company. So
I think last time I was down at your manufacturing plant that you guys had just bought some huge paint machine or something.
yeah, we bought some pneumatic paint fillers.
Okay.
You know, yeah, you dial them up, and you can get a perfect amount of paint each time. You push the foot pedal, fills in. Then we have a induction sealer that heats up the foil under the cap so it doesn't spill when it's being shipped.
Okay. So what are you exactly doing by hand?
Right now, we're pouring everything by hand. We use those paint fillers when we have a whole big run of a certain color. But the challenge is right now we want to offer, in each of our lines, we have 60, 65 colors. So
Wow.
it's a lot.
Those all have lead in them?
That's right. Yeah. The original formula.
That's great, though. Just don't eat it, right?
You have to pour those paints through the machines. You have to clean the machine after you get, let's say, blue. Well, if you go from blue to pouring white, you have problems. You have to clean that machine thoroughly, and that's downtime. So we're still pouring them by hand.
Now, what's it take to clean one of those machines?
Chemicals,
You run it
scrubbing,
through.
and run it through. And the bigger machines take more.
You still get your hands dirty cleaning machines?
I mean, and this is the cleanest I've looked in a while. I am usually on.
Last time I saw you, you were shaved. You didn't have your beard. I was like,
Yeah.
You know where James is? I'm more comfortable around you when you have your beard. Let's
Is that
put it
right?
that way.
Yeah. I don't. I'm usually I'm in the shop. I'm a shop
You
guy.
look really good, man.
Thanks.
Like you definitely are in shape,
Thanks.
and you're like killing it or something. You
Riding
look
that
really.
bicycle.
Because you were riding again.
Best. My God, it's the best. I thought I'd never wear spandex. I was like, there's no way. I'm a biker, right? It's the coolest
I'm wearing
sport.
some right now.
It's the coolest sport that I've.
That's so.
It is cool, man.
It's interesting to hear the inside perspective because that has to be the sport that has unequivocally the most amount of haters.
I guess
You have to know that, right?
They haven't tried it. It's tougher than anything I've ever done.
I mean, just riding on the road, though.
Yeah. No, I get that.
That's like got to be the biggest.
I know.
A couple weeks ago, you told me you got hit or something.
No, I guess it was. Yeah, I was run off the road by a gentleman. This guy came driving up, and I was riding, and he started giving me a hard time about riding on the road. And I don't know what the solution to that is. That's tough because riding on the sidewalks is
Yeah, you're
nightmare.
just right there, bend your rims
horrible.
and stuff, right?
It's horrible. Yeah. So, I mean, I know there's bike paths, but
So
that's
I don't ride bicycles. I can tell you the opposite side of the other side of this conversation.
okay.
I can tell you the other side of this perspective is that I think that automobile, people in cars, I think that people in cars think that you're entitled.
I think that the cyclist is entitled.
Yeah.
I think they're entitled to use all of the roadway that we also pay for with our taxes.
I agree with you. I'm devil's advocate.
I know. I'm just.
I think it shouldn't be an issue. And I think the only problem I've ever had with bicyclists is getting stuck behind a pack of them that won't let me by.
Oh, that's not acceptable. That is not acceptable. The guys I ride with would never do that.
But
Never.
there's like 50 of them.
Still,
I
these guys are
empathize,
hardcore.
sympathize because I've never ridden a bike. See, sympathy.
You'd love
There's
it.
another
man.
word.
It's like crack. Not that I've ever tried crack.
Sympathy.
Yeah. It's
You never know.
it's I hear what you're saying. I totally get it. And I
There's what's the fix to that? Because I don't want to zoom by them. because I don't want to make a mistake and something
Yeah.
happen also.
So this is what I understand. Is that if somebody in a car kills a cyclist, it's like second-degree manslaughter. You like go to jail.
For all of
Regardless
you
of how
asshole
you
drivers
feel,
out there, just fucking take it easy on a goddamn bicyclist, all right?
I don't know if that's fast.
This could be James. This
I've
could
heard.
be you could be running over Detroit's best and baddest artist.
I've had coins thrown at me out of cars.
Yeah, and these people are just sitting on their couch at home, unhealthy, trying to run
Whatever,
over
I don't
people who are bettering their lives.
I don't know.
Just tagging them.
Yeah, it's you watch the Tour de France, and I was that person where I thought that is the lamest looking sport. But when you do it, and if you've ever crashed, these people are tough. I used to think those bad bikers were tough, and I think bikers are so cool.
I've crashed my motorcycle.
That gives you a whole new respect for it, sure.
Yeah, makes you really slow down. Actually,
Yeah. Imagine if you were wearing Lycra.
I was actually pretty lucky because I was going fairly slow.
Yeah.
But it wasn't really my fault either. A dog ran out in front of me.
Yeah.
And I swerved. And it was kind of some gravelly, and I just jumped off. Really,
The dog didn't get hurt, obviously. You just
I should have.
Bike trashed.
I should have heard it.
Yeah.
Not really. But yeah, the bike got messed up. The people paid for it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I sold that bike.
Yeah.
With the clean title.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. Just kidding. But yeah. So yeah, getting back to your, we'll wrap it up here pretty soon.
Okay.
But visions for the future of Alpha 6 and its owner James. Hey, what do you got planned big for the future? Let us know.
Well, I think that we're going to continue. I think this new arena where we're private labeling is really going to expand. The idea
like
is
a white label product.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We print right now we print the labels of the company, we ship to them, and then it's a really good way. And I think that because we've spent all this time developing these quality products where we can offer a service. Some of these companies, they don't want to go through what we went through to make these products. So it's like, hey, we build trust. That's where I want it to go. I want it to go there, and I want it to get to a point where we move seamlessly. I say we, but I mean my mother and myself move seamlessly between running Alpha 6 and the other creative ventures in our life.
You find that Alpha 6 is really kind of funding your artistic life outside of the business? Somewhat. Is that helping?
Well, without Alpha 6, I wouldn't have that amazing shop that I have. It's incredible. Alpha 6 pretty much built that.
Yeah.
Certainly,
that's at your warehouse stuff, right?
Yeah. That's so great. Because I can walk in the back and work on the sculpture, and then I walk up front and I can contact the different suppliers I have. So,
well, where can people find you? Where can people see your art? How can people get in touch with you?
So you can find our paint and our products at alpha6corporation.com.
I'll post it in the chat.
Okay.
Well,
and I don't have a website for my personal work. So our Instagram for the paint company is at Alpha6Paint. And 6 is the number 6. It's not spelled out. And my personal Instagram is at James K Artist. It's JamesKaye Artist. You can see all my current work. Everything goes right on there. I honestly haven't had time to build a website. So
okay.
Yeah.
So now I'm gonna to end. I'm gonna say a series of words.
Okay.
And I want you to tell me the first thing that comes to your mind. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Honda.
Suzuki.
Suzuki.
Yeah. Immediately.
Suzuki.
Yeah.
That's my next word.
No, really?
Yeah.
That's your next word. You got to start. You got to do another one. I've had too much time to think about
Oh,
Suzuki.
Suzuki.
I want to say Suzuki again.
Harley.
Oh, I think of an image. No, come on. Give me some better ones than that.
Okay.
Give me some better ones.
Art.
Art, sophistication.
Politics.
Oh, heartbreak.
Love.
Oh, love is more of a verb, I think.
God.
Spirituality.
Fear.
Oh, yikes, man. That's a tough one. What do I think of when I think of fear? Battleground.
Battleground.
Yep.
Okay. Well, that was great, man. I agree with all of them. No. Well, that was awesome, man. I really appreciate you taking time out. I know you're so super busy. I know you're super busy, and I've been trying to get you on here for a couple months now. I really appreciate your time. And let's hang out soon, man. Like off the air, just chill. Let's go ride or something. I got to get back down to your shop too. I want to see your bikes.
The bikes and you see that sculpture. It's enormous. So.
All right. Well, cool, man. All right. Have a wonderful day. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.